Welcome to Not So Silent here on October 29th, right before Halloween, episode 22. Thanks for joining us. I'm Taylor Duncan in Nashville. I got Chris Hertigan in St. Louis coming on in just a second. We have a ton of stuff on today's show. We're going to talk about the lockdown wave that's happening and some lockdown battles in Chicago. GDP rises to an all-time rate or all-time rise. Should say Biden's corruption looks worse. Joe Rogan making waves with Alex Jones. UW-Madison is a complete and total mess in the sports world. Dodgers win the series, but that's not the big news. ESPN's article on league owners' political donations. Girl Scouts get canceled. We got Gambler's Corner, a little bit of serious satire, and top five worst holiday traditions, top 5 worst holiday traditions. Before we rock and roll, please do me a giant favor. On YouTube, go to the little subscribe button down here. Click on subscribe. I promise you'll love all of our stuff. So subscribe to us so that you can get every time we host a new one. So hit subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, we haven't been canceled yet. Wonderful. Subscribe to us or follow us. Same with Apple Podcasts and so on. And do me a favor, go to Instagram and share this episode and connect with us on Twitter at Not So Silent Pod, at Not So Silent Pod. Next Tuesday during the election, I promise we will have massive amounts of live thought bubbles popping up on Twitter. All right, so let's bring Chris on. So Chris is with us. How you doing, Chris?
Oh, Duncan, I'm fine. I'm getting ready for Super Bowl Tuesday here.
Super Bowl Tuesday. All right. I'm excited, scared, and everything else. Let's dive into our topics for today. So topics of the day that I wanted to start is the right now coronavirus COVID major upticks. As you probably have heard or seen, we reached 80,000 cases yesterday. The deaths haven't quite started ticking up, but the caseload is high, and it's causing some of these states to get really nervous. And we're going to talk primarily about Illinois. I wanted to go through what's going on in Chicagoland and see what your thoughts are on this. So Governor Pritzker, who's horrible, he decided on Monday, the day before the IHSA, which is the governing body for high school sports, he decided to take basketball and move it to a high-risk category, which basically means they won't let basketball play. So he preemptively went ahead prior to the IHSA making their decision and said there will be no basketball in the state of Illinois for the winter. So that was big news on Monday in Chicagoland. Tuesday, the IHSA still had their Board of Governors meeting, and they said, screw you, we're playing. How about that? So what are your thoughts on the IHSA telling Governor Pritzker to pound sand?
Well, I love it. I actually heard something similar was happening with restaurants as well, that he was doing some kind of a restaurant shutdown. Oh, am I getting ahead of you here on the queue?
Oh, yeah. So this is the first bit of anarchy going on in Illinois.
I love the undercurrent of people going like, wait a minute, my personal freedoms are seriously being encroached on, because it's one of these things where you don't seem to notice when personal freedoms are encroached on and it's outside of your bubble or sphere of influence. So that I think people kind of sit on their heels a bit, and I wonder, why aren't people noticing what's going on? The second it creeps into your personal bubble, people start to get, they're American, right? It happened to me with the kids in school. Like, I'm just sort of like, well, whatever, politics, somebody gets elected, whatever, taxes, okay, fine. But the second they're like, yeah, your kids can't be in school, that's going to cost you $3,000 a month in nannies to take care of them. I'm like, oh, hell no. All of a sudden I went into activist mode. And so I'm happy to hear in a blue state like Chicago, that really is the state, right? That people are just this reactive to it. Fantastic.
So here's the interesting thing, right? So we have a friend who's a lifelong hardcore liberal, almost socialist feeling, right? And we just heard recently things changed for him. I think he'll still vote that way, but all of a sudden he got really pissed because his daughter is very good at basketball, and this has now encroached her big sport, right? Her big high school sport now is not going to play, and all of a sudden this wasn't cool anymore. And I'm just waiting for people to start to act out with their vote, and it doesn't feel like they're going to. So let's go some more. So IHSA says no. On top of it, restaurants basically throughout the suburban area and soon to be Chicago, which is going to happen on Friday, have all been shut down again. This will be the second closure after the original lockdowns back in whatever, March or April. And my hometown that we left because we're just so sick and tired of what's going on, Park Ridge, which is about 40,000 people right on the northwest corner, the restaurants banded together and have said, nope, we're staying open. In fact, if you look up on the restaurant, a bunch of different restaurants' websites, the front page is a letter to the customers saying, we're going to do this safely. We can't do this. We're staying in business. We're not shutting our doors. And they have decided to be defiant. On top of it, Lori Lightfoot, the Democratic newly elected mayor in Chicago, has come out publicly and said, please, please, please don't do this, Pritzker. Please don't do it. But nothing he can do. He can't leave Chicago open and shut everything around Chicago. And Chicago is set to close on Friday, the restaurants and stuff. And even Lightfoot has said, if you close this, there's going to be nothing left. We've already been decimated from this. Closing it again is going to destroy us. It is.
Wow, even Lightfoot is going against the grain. I was really seriously worried that she was like either an alien or like one of those characters in Men in Black where the tiny alien is in the head controlling the whole body. Like if something doesn't look right about her, you know, it's the eyes. She's got the crazy eyes.
She does. I'm trying to pull up a picture for those. Actually, if you don't know who she is, you need to look up Lori Lightfoot just to get a visual of what Chris just said, because Men in Black is a really good way of thinking about Lori Lightfoot. So all throughout Illinois, you're starting to see way more defiance of the governor's orders, which I predicted. I had said if this happened again, if there's another large shutdown, and I would think the same thing anywhere when a second wave, a second shutdown comes. The first one, if you remember, any salon or gym or bar that refused to shut down got national news, right? It was really big news of this gym in New Jersey that says we're going to stay open or whatever. And now I think the second time that they're going to do it, I think you're going to see a majority of them say, here, my options are either go out of business or stay open, but risk you guys coming and giving me a fine, which will probably put me out of business too. But at least then I can really point my fingers to you, put me out of business.
So I got a question for you, and I might be getting too far into prognostication, right? But there's obviously tremendous fear on the left of Trump getting elected. Those of us who know better are like, well, you're crazy. Like, I don't know how afraid to be of a progressive leftist, you know, like Biden getting elected and eventually Kamala Harris taking over as president, because I hope at least that there's enough of an undercurrent of people going, wait a second, like this stuff can't stand, that these are the kind of policies that could turn a blue state, a traditional blue state, red again. I feel like at some point.
I thought, 2 months ago, especially with the rioting that happened, the lockdowns, all of it seeming to be very political, very much from the left, I thought for sure it was literally going to be 100% voting red because people were just going to be so fed up. And yet California, New York, Illinois, Chicago, they're all still going to go heavy, heavy blue. And I don't get it, because if I'm in those states and I'm a parent and my kid can't go to school, or, but for whatever reason, they've all decided that that's okay. I'm okay that you shut all the restaurants down. And I think part of it is, and this is the complete hypocrisy of the people who are saying, I'm really worried about the poor and I'm worried about the minorities and everything else. No, you're not. You're not even a little bit, because if you were, you would recognize the lockdowns disproportionately hurt the poor and the ones who have to go to their essential jobs and so on. They don't hurt the person who works remotely in the IT world and can be at home with their kids while their kids are in remote school and probably have high-speed internet and 3 computers in their house. Doesn't hurt them nearly as much as the single mother or father, single parent home in the city where they don't have high-speed internet or the high-speed internet is very slow and can't stream, and they're not home to watch the kids go to school, a remote school and stuff like that. So it's disproportionately hurting the poor and the economically disadvantaged people, and many of which are in heavily minority populated areas. And it's so hypocritical really we need to open things up. We need to let those people go to their jobs at the hotel or at the restaurant or at the bar or at the gym or wherever they're working, and let them make some money so they can put food on the table. And we need to open up the schools in those areas so those kids can get a good education. The education difference that we have seen coming to Nashville from back in Park Ridge, both of which have wildly high rated schools in the two areas we live, but in school versus at home, it's not even close. They do not even come close to comparing from an educational standpoint. And it's going to put my kids so much further ahead than their friends back home by missing a whole year of school. And many of the schools up in Chicagoland have said, we're going to stay remote at minimum through January. And likely it'll be, some teachers I know have said it'll be until 2022 that we talk about going back to school full 5-day regular. 2022, the second semester of next year.
I suppose if all you do is listen to CNN or MSNBC, I can see why you'd feel that way. They make it sound so terrifying, the coronavirus, whereas the outlets we follow the data, and we recognize that there's very low risk for certain age groups and there's high risk for other age groups. And you do not need to quarantine an entire country to save that one age group. They can quarantine themselves. So back to the same old story, but yeah.
And I think, for anyone who's trying to say, well, look at how bad the certain states or Trump, or if we had just responded differently, do they know that their argument carries literally zero weight? This has affected every country in the entire world almost identically, with exception of, New Zealand handled it fine. They're an island with more sheep than people, but any major populated country has been decimated by this. And the ones that haven't are going through it right now. They're being decimated now.
Well, to tag on to that, there are countries that have had severe lockdowns, and they're seeing the exact same spikes as people who've opened up. So it's going to have to run its course. We're going to have to live with this and deal with it. There's no shutting down this virus. There's how do we get along with it?
And that's what Mark Meadows, the chief of staff, said, which is we're not going to fight the virus. We're going to work on, we're not going to, we can't crush the virus. What we can do is work on mitigation and how we're going to treat the virus. And that's the right answer, because look at what they've done over in Europe. Europe shut down wildly hard. It was ghost towns over there. And now it's spiking again because it doesn't go away. It's a virus, and it's showing that it's mutated too. They're finding a mutation in Spain based on the cattle workers is where I guess it was mutated. And they don't know how bad the mutation is going to be, if it's going to be any more dangerous of a COVID. But that's the second wave, or at least they think that could be where the second wave is coming from. It's a virus, guys. It's the flu. It's obviously it's worse than the flu, but it's like the flu, and we just have to deal with it as such. And we can't shut down. So on top of that, though, what we have seen, news just came out today, breaking news, and it's very big news. You won't see it on CNN, I'm sure. And if you do, you are going to see it on, in some weird small, they're going to say why it's not that good of news. But the GDP growth in Q3 is a record. The highest ever growth on record was 16%. And I believe this is now over 30% growth in Q3. Now, granted, it's growing from a very low stance, but clearly the V-shaped recovery, clearly the recovery is happening, and there's still problems. Restaurants are still closing, things like that. But my gosh, can't anyone give credit maybe to the right with how they've handled it from an economic standpoint?
Trump derangement syndrome is way too real, man. It's way too real. There's absolutely no credit that can be given. So
it's amazing. And to go into we're going to shift gears here to Biden here. The Biden corruption is looking worse and worse by the day. This Tony Bobulinski guy was on Tucker. I'm sure, it was trending. Tucker was trending heavily on Twitter when he did the hour-long interview with the guy that seemed strikingly credible. And the Senate has released that the documents that they have seen are real, whether or not you want to say they're damning, whether or not you want to say they're illegal, but they're not Russia. They're not Russia. This isn't Russia disinformation that would, like Adam Schiff tried to claim. But no one on the left is going to come back and say, Adam Schiff, you were way wrong, and that was a crazy conspiracy theory. No, they're going to just pass it off as this isn't as bad or whatever. Let's sweep it on the rug. Let's get Biden in office, which again, Biden gaffe after gaffe after gaffe, as he talked about the Harris administration. So the Biden administration, he talked about Kamala. How do you say it again? Kamala Shakti Day. Her husband, but he referred to her as her wife. I mean, he's just gaffe after gaffe, but no one's going to talk about it. They're just completely willing to put anyone in office that's not Trump, even though Trump has a pretty strong record of economically, his foreign policy. He has not gotten into a war. In fact, he's brought troops home. He's created more peace in the Middle East than any other president. Semi-peace, at least a truce with North Korea for the time being. You name it.
Haven't heard about missile launches in a long time.
Haven't heard. And where are the radical Islamists? They're not coming over here right now, but they are going in France. If you've been following that, they've had their second terror attack in the last, I think, week in France. Today, like 3 hours ago or whatever, something like that. The Emmanuel Macron, the leader of France, came out and said France is under attack, quote unquote, under attack after a church beheading, as their second terror attack happened over in France. So I just don't understand how you can sweep the Biden corruption under the rug. Now, I do know the phrase Biden corruption is trending on Google and has been for the past couple of days. So I do think some of the American public is starting to look at it.
Well, look, there's always a certain amount of corruption that's going to come along with politics. I don't believe for a second that any politician is squeaky clean. But to posture Biden as the light and Trump as the dark, to posture Biden as this like holier than thou, like this is the squeaky clean guy, that's what I take issue with. He's not. So that's the problem for me. I mean, look, it feels like so long ago, but hey, we had Stormy Daniels not too long ago, right? Trump is not squeaky clean. It's more of the posturing of like Biden being a real return to normalcy. It's like, no, it's really a return to the swamp. A career politician with a history of corruption, nothing really illegal necessarily, just kind of ugly stuff. So I'm not, saying, okay, Biden should be in jail or anything like that, but it's like, that's right back to the way things were, the swamp. And we may never have another chance to elect somebody that is not part of the establishment again if we don't do Donald Trump again.
We talked about some of our non-established. I mean, Ditka in 2024.
Yeah, talk about Ditka. Yeah.
Ditka. So how about this one? Did you see the Girl Scouts tweeted out a congratulations to Amy Coney Barrett?
I heard about this, and then they had to retract it, right?
Isn't that amazing? So the Girl Scouts, tweet out a congratulations to Amy Coney Barrett and the other females who have been nominated or have been not elected, nominated, whatever, put on the Supreme Court. And they said, wow, isn't that great for girls all across the world? There's another female who made it to the highest court in the land. And they had to retract it.
Bad move. This disgusts me about the left, that you are not a woman unless you have Democratic ideology or you're a man who claims you're a woman. Otherwise, you're not a woman. What you do does not matter. I think this was a major missed opportunity by the Girl Scouts to stand for something and say, no, we're not retracting that. There's nothing offensive about that at all. Like,
nope.
I think they missed a major opportunity, and they're going to see more. I think they'll see more fallout from the silent majority in terms of, people just being like, okay, I don't need Girl Scouts anymore, then fine, versus like satisfying the Twitter mob. I think that was a mistake.
Kappa Delta, which was Amy Coney Barrett's sorority, also had to do the same thing. Tweeted out a congratulations, had to retract it.
It's unbelievable.
It is. It's remarkable that the Twitter mob can force people to do stuff like that. And the leftist mob can force people to do it. But
they won't stop. They won't stop. Like conceding is never enough for them. Their thirst for power is never satiated. Like, you got to stand up to them or they'll keep on chipping away at more.
And it's ridiculous because, again, the Girl Scouts, a good organization. I don't know how many millions of girls have gone through it and, learned so many different things at a young age. And then all they do is say congrats to one of these girls rising up to be someone special, like we talk about in America, gender equality and everything else. And well, it's not good enough.
Sworn in by black justice as well. How about
Yeah.
that? And they're both Republican justices.
Yeah.
How about that? Right.
But we're the party of white men only, I guess. So yeah, just ridiculous. All right. Well, hey, let's shift gears. Let's have some fun. Let's talk some sports. We have breaking news that everyone listening is going to care about if you're a Chicago White Sox fan. The Chicago White Sox, which is my team, officially hire Tony La Russa to manage the team. I'm shocked. I'm in awe. I've wanted Tony La Russa for about 10 years to come to the Sox. They've waited and waited until they had an awesome team. So now they have a Hall of Fame manager in Tony La Russa.
But you said come to the Sox. Don't you mean come back to the Sox? Didn't he coach for them a long time ago?
Yeah. Come back. Yeah. Sorry. Come back to the Sox.
Guy had a stellar record in St. Louis. I mean, sure, the guy may get a couple DUIs and, commit some manslaughter potentially, but hey, great manager.
Yeah, and that's all we care about. It's sports, right?
I don't disagree.
All right. So actual real stuff here. Let's talk about some real stuff. This probably the best discussion right now is the ESPN article that just came out, which I thought was interesting. ESPN just has decided they just have to be a political commentary site. They came out with their investigative reporting on election 2020 inside the political donation history of wealthy sports owners. It's wonderful to find this out. The strong Republican lean is consistent with owners' spending in 2018 and 2016 federal elections as well. So 72.9% of the money has gone to Republican campaigns or super PACs, compared to 21.5% going to the Democrats. 6% went to bipartisan or unaffiliated people. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, I had a few thoughts. Like one of them was like, well, first of all, what should that tell you? If they are voting for somebody that they think will make them more money, doesn't that make their athletes more money? Like it's a meritocracy in a free market. So doesn't that tell you something? Then the other thought I was having was, well, dude, there are way more big donors donating to the Democrats than the Trump campaign. Trump is being vastly outnumbered in terms of campaign funding. And then I thought, who the hell cares? I don't really care. What are we supposed to deduce from that really matters?
Well, here's what I deduce is ESPN wants this to be about, it's the rich getting richer. It's all the rich, give to the Republicans and everything else. But you look at Hollywood donors, and I'm sure it's the exact opposite.
I would guess it's if you vote for Trump, you're a racist. And so, look, the owners are racist. That's really what I would guess they're doing.
Sure. And here's what I say. You know what this shows me? That the owners aren't stupid. Which side, right or left, was more open to sports opening up, which is their business?
Yeah,
the right.
Good point.
So this is just a straight up. They are putting their money to benefit their business, the same as every lobbying. If you're at Verizon, you want to lobby. You need to lobby to have better high speed cables laid or whatever it is.
We're out of element in that one, but
yeah, I think
I like the effort.
Yes, probably a stretch.
We need 6G, so let's lobby for that.
Yeah. So, but clearly these are just the owners are going. I know that the right is more open to what we need, bigger stadiums or whatever that brings us more money, makes us more money, which in turn makes the players more money because all of the contracts are based off of a percentage of revenue. So this makes no sense to me. Why I don't understand why the players are so against it. I think they have been indoctrinated, unfortunately, the wrong way, but so be it. Next, UW-Madison. When we last spoke, it was pretty crazy. This is all transpired in the last 2 days. When we last spoke, the Badgers freshman quarterback had a lights out. Graham Mertz looked like Wisconsin was going to be on the national map and everything else. Next day, he gets COVID. The day after that, the backup quarterback tests positive for COVID. And so now you're going, holy crap, we're actually going to be at our 4th-string quarterback because another quarterback had a foot surgery. And then 12 people on the team have tested positive, including the head coach, and they had to cancel this week's game against Nebraska. What I say, because I'm not even going to ask you, this is, to me, proof the Big Ten botched this. If they had done what the SEC did, which was start early, which is what so many people said schools should have done, is start earlier in August and give off after Thanksgiving, because we knew the wave would come back like the flu season. But everyone in these blue states waited. They started late. There's no chance to make up these games. They had an 8-game season with no chance to squeeze them in. Whereas Florida, University of Florida, had to cancel a game. They just reorganized the whole schedule because there was enough bye weeks in place knowing this would happen. So the South, which everyone likes to say is the dumb South, did it right. And the Big Ten up north did it wrong. And they're screwing with Wisconsin's, the whole Big Ten season, but especially Wisconsin's season because of it. Now Wisconsin, by and large, is out of the national conversation. Any thoughts on it?
I don't have a whole lot to add there. It just goes to the whole undercurrent of like, at some point when these people who vote Democrat are personally affected by this, are they going to start to change their tune? Are they going to start to look at the reality of what's happening in their lives because of Democratic policies?
So how about the Dodgers, to stay on the COVID theme? Did you hear about what happened to the LA Dodgers game 6? I'm watching the game. All of a sudden, the Dodgers star third baseman Justin Turner gets pulled in the 8th inning, and no one knew why. And the commentators even said, we have a defensive replacement at third. I don't know why. Justin Turner, he was playing great at third base. He's gone. It comes out the next day. What happened was they got his test result for COVID in the 8th inning. And he was positive. So they pulled Justin Turner out of the game, right? No one knows why. Comes out the next day. Holy crap. So all of a sudden, everyone starts thinking, poor guy doesn't even get to celebrate the historic World Series win. Then the pictures started to surface. He did celebrate the win. He went back on the field. He kissed the trophy. He was in all the pictures, many of which didn't have a mask on and so on. And so, of course, the Corona Bros, the blue wave came at him with how the headline in Yahoo Sports was how selfish Justin Turner's selfish World Series celebration is a symptom of a much larger problem.
Are you asking for comment on it? I mean, first of all, I think the World Series had less viewers than we do on our podcast. So, like, I vaguely heard of this stuff, but I didn't watch. But yeah, okay, more power to the guy. I don't care. That's fine.
Can you think about this for a second? This is a guy. This is a guy who, by the way, was a star on the team, who was at the clubhouse the entire day. Yeah. He was warming up with the team. He was in the dugout with the team through 8 innings. Then comes back out to take some pictures and hold the trophy, and they think that was the selfish act. Really? That's the problem? That was where the transmission and the spread happened? Oh, and they also talked about how he kissed his wife. Can you believe the selfishness of this man to kiss his wife? How dare he do such a thing? I mean, this is ridiculous that they can't look at it and go, yeah, well, he was with the team. You know, I guess whatever. What was one more hour with the team? He had already been with them. He was on airplane. Well, no, I guess he wasn't in airplanes, but he was in hotels, everything else. So the last hour wasn't going to be the difference. Good for him that he at least got to enjoy the celebration.
Okay, so these stories all have a common thread, and it's why these stories are just really boring to me. And the common thread is this, that the left's ideology is their God, but their ideology is built on mostly lies, not real data, not real facts. So they have to constantly defend, and put up these like paper mache supports under their ideology, or their God dies. And if their God dies, well, then who are they? What is their identity? And that's the reality. Whereas many on the right, their God, first of all, is God. And that is where they get their identity from. And so it doesn't surprise me by the left. Again, they are living in absolute abject fear of their God dying. So just none of it surprises me. None of it gets me rattled. None of it excites me. I just see it for what it is. I feel bad for them because one day their God will die. I mean, you saw in 2008, where you had financial guys in Wall Street just committing suicide. Money was their God. Their god died during the 2008 crash. They killed themselves, right? So I just see the frantic whims of somebody who is believing in a lie, and they believe in it for so long that if it doesn't end up being true, then they don't know who they are anymore.
Yeah, true that. All right, let's move into something even more fun because I get fired up from that. I think it's fun. But Gambler's Corner. All right, this is the corner of shame here. Chris, you're the degenerate gambler, but we like to have fun with it. So give me what it is, and I will tell you what my picks are for the week.
Yeah, so last week's bets were all kind of screwed up. We just sort of nixed that week in terms of our Gambler's Corner. Right now, I'm leading the group with $210 positive dollars. We've got Sean is 60 in the hole. Taylor's 20 in the hole. So Taylor, you're not far from being positive here. Tonight we got Falcons at Jags. Falcons are getting 3. Who do you like in that poop show tonight?
Falcons for sure.
I think I'm going to take the Jags only because I hate that pick, and I feel like I'm not picking well lately. So okay, we got Falcons. All right, we got Raiders at Browns. Raiders are getting 2.5.
Wow.
I think. Let me double check that. I think they might be laying 2.5. Hold on a second.
Raiders at Browns. I think I would. Yowzas. So we have Raiders at Browns.
Yeah, the Raiders are getting 2.5.
So Raiders at Browns. Raiders plus 2.5. Odell Beckham out.
Raiders are a bit up and down. They beat some great teams. And
that's the weird thing is they beat the Saints, but then they look horrible against other teams. They get smoked by the
Bucs and then beat the Chiefs.
Right? Yeah, I'll take Chiefs. Sorry, they beat the Chiefs, not the Saints. I'll take the Raiders plus 2.5.
I'm taking the Raiders as well. Saints at Bears. Bears are getting 4 at home. Doesn't that feel low?
That feels low. I'm taking Saints plus. It's weird because I'm taking these. What are they? I'm going against the taking the home dog, which tends to be good. But Raiders are giving 4. You said
they're laying 4. Yeah. So I'm going to take the Bears here. Similar reason to why I'm going to. Similar reason to the Raiders pick, actually.
You think it's a trap game?
Yeah. I think the Bears, if they can sustain a drive longer than 3 plays and their defense can be rested, they can keep it close.
Yeah, but they can't.
And the Saints are not unbeatable this year. They're not crazy good. So, again, I hate picking the Bears. My instincts scream, oh, heck yeah, take the Saints. So I'm taking the Bears because I don't trust my picks right now. All right, last we have Bucks at Giants. Buccaneers are laying 10.5.
Again, I want to take the home dog just because it's a big 10.5 home dog. 10.5 is big in the NFL. But man, the Giants are so bad. But and it's going to be Antonio Brown's not playing yet, right?
No.
I'm going to go Giants plus 10.5.
I'm taking the Bucks with the big spread, but just a small note, a spread that is so large. I don't know if I've ever seen it in the NFL in my lifetime. The Chiefs are laying 19.5 against the Jets.
I have never seen, I think I've seen 14 or 15. I don't think I've ever seen when we're approaching 3 touchdowns. What was it? Chiefs 19.5?
19.5. And I got to say, I'd probably still take the Chiefs.
I think I would take the Jets.
Let's add that one in.
I'm going to take the Jets just because, again, it's one of those things that the Chiefs can win by 18, which is a very comfortable victory in the NFL. 38-20.
Yeah, I still think they're going to run it down their throat, and the Jets are going to throw picks all day, and we might see a couple of pick sixes. So,
wow, if they lose, that'd be remarkable. If they lose by 20 plus and they cover, that'd be awesome.
And then, as usual, we are parlaying the teams as well. We'll only parlay the first 4. Those were our bonus pick. So that's Chiefs game.
All right, so we'll parlay the first 4. Make your picks at home and see how you can do against Chris, who won the parlay 2 weeks ago. That really is putting him way up. Otherwise you remove that parlay and you're up like 40 or something like that.
$40. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into some serious or satire. Serious or satire? All right. I'm going to give you some headlines. You tell me if they are serious or satire. Sony releases free Black Lives Matter PS4 theme.
Satire.
That is serious.
Come on, man.
Not to mention,
Come on, man.
not to mention, if you see what it is not one of those just hashtag Black Lives Matter. It's got the fist raised. It is the black and yellow insignia of the group. For those who like to say that the group and the movement are different, this is pretty clear. Even though
it makes more sense now that they think about it. Most of these kids live in their parents' basement and play video games all day, don't have real jobs. So that does make sense.
This is true. This is true. It has been downloaded by more Antifa fans than anyone else in the country. All right. Next, South Korean dog meat farm closing as attitudes change.
Oh, God. Like attitudes as in like they're going to change to like hamsters or something? What? Whoa. I hope this is serious.
It is serious. So
is this also tied to the General Tso's chicken shortage in the U.S.? Or is that unrelated?
That's great. Yeah. So no, South Korean dog meat farm closing as attitudes change. Could you imagine going to the farm and seeing it? Like when you drive, like imagine driving down a country road and you see the cows and you're like, oh, those are cute, but I know I'm going to eat them, but they're cute. And, but now imagine driving down and seeing a bunch of dogs running. You're like, oh, it'd be so much fun to go play with the puppies. And then you're like, no, that's dinner.
Dude, I'm going to cry if you keep talking about it. That's so sad. Yeah.
All right. Last one I'll go with. Billionaire Bill Gross accused of blaring Gilligan's Island theme song on loop at his neighbor.
Do I have a duration of time he played it for, or is that too much information?
It's on loop.
I'm going to go with serious.
That is serious. In fact, if you read the article, it's picking up more and more press, and it's a hilarious article about two billionaires in Laguna Beach, one of which erected something on their property that sort of blocked some of the ocean view of the other. They've been feuding back and forth, and it has gotten to the point where the PIMCO chairman, the chairman of PIMCO, which is the co-founder of the investment firm PIMCO, Bill Gross, has now been alleged that he was doing many things that were very rude, one of which was blaring music at his neighbor all day when he's not home. One of the songs that was talked about was the Gilligan's Island theme song.
Ooh, top 5 worst songs to hear on a soundtrack. Go.
Nickelback.
Looped over and over again.
Any Nickelback song over and over again.
Venga Boys. We like to party.
The Macarena.
Oh, yeah. The chicken dance.
Pretty much any song.
Wedding song. Are only somehow reasonably acceptable at a wedding. Otherwise, you hate them.
Yep. YMCA.
1 hop this time. 2 hops this time. Slide to the left. That's so racist. Just like, a couple black dudes teaching white people how to dance. Like, it's just a racist soundtrack, that thing,
Very good. All right, so there's serious or satire. Last little bit on Prognostication Station. We don't have a ton. Let me ask you. So on Monday we talked about, was ACB going to be confirmed? She was.
Oh yeah.
So congratulations to ACB. Congratulations to Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell for getting that through before the election. And yet they still are not talking to Joe Biden about packing the courts. Will he or won't he? Even though that will be arguably the biggest thing that he will do if he were to be elected, would be to pack or not pack. And yet he has not answered it, and no one's asking him.
Well, Durbin, Pelosi, and AOC have all spoken about, like, this is about playing hardball. We got to show them that we're ready to play hardball like they are. And it's like, this isn't hardball. Like, you guys set the precedent. We're playing by the rules that you broke. You're the ones who blew up used the nuclear option to nominate a Supreme Court justice. We're doing the same thing. Elections have consequences, but the idea that they would even consider that is It's a nightmare. That would be a major, like, I don't even know how to put it, because all that's going to do is create, well, once you're out of office, the Republicans are going to do the same thing. Like, they would destroy the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it would no longer have the third branch of government.
And forget about asking Biden about that. They're not asking Biden anything. Like, have you ever heard of a campaign like this? The guy's just literally sitting in his basement, like watching Matlock, on IVs to keep him alive, while Trump's out there drawing thousands upon thousands, every crowd he goes to. Like, so crazy.
All right. Lastly, for prognostication, we both prognosticated we believe Trump was winning. Do you still believe it?
I do. I think both parties are nervous. I don't think the Democrats feel this. They're going to walk away with this thing. I think they're worried the polling is incorrect. Again, the polls are tightening in the swing states. I think Trump is up in Florida right now, and he's up in Arizona, but not by much. Down in Pennsylvania, down in North Carolina, but within the margin of error. So they're worried. And there's a lot of talk about the mail-in ballot stuff, right, where Democrats always hold an early lead on mail-in balloting. However, Republicans hold a lead on requested ballots for mail-in. They just aren't in yet, which is why before I prognosticated saying, hey, if a state's declared red and most of the outstanding ballots are red, then I think we will have a decision on election night, right? But the danger is in places like Wisconsin, where if your vote doesn't come in by election day, it doesn't count. That could hurt because, again, Republicans have more absentee ballots requested. But I'm anticipating they're just waiting to do them in person. I think Republicans are listening to Trump and going, I'm going to vote in person. So I'm still anticipating a win for Trump.
Me too. All right, let's move into our top 5. This week is Halloween. 2 days from now, Halloween. And one of the best traditions of any holiday is trick-or-treating. For as much as people are trying to shut it down for COVID reasons, there is nothing cooler than seeing a bunch of 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds dressing up in their favorite, Marvel comic or sports hero or whatever it is, go around and getting tons of candy. I remember doing it as a kid. I love doing it with my kids. So excited to do that in 2 days. So I thought about it and I said, hey, what if we thought about the top 5 worst holiday traditions? Because there are some bad ones. There are some really, really bad traditions. There are some really good ones, which I think we will do next week. But right now we are going to do the worst holiday traditions. So top 5 worst holiday traditions. I will go first this time. All right. So I think this will be pretty controversial. I think most of you guys listening are going to freak out. And I hope you send me a lot of hate mail. Turkey at Thanksgiving.
Oh my God. You're the sin number 5.
Wow. So you hate it too? Maybe it won't be controversial.
Oh, holy cow.
We have a long-standing argument in our house, but not our house, but my family, my extended family, that some of the people say it's a tradition. You got to have turkey, I always leave so full on Thanksgiving and I'm never that happy about it. It's never that good. I'd rather have deep dish pizza and cakes and just a bunch of really bad food. If I'm going to eat that fattening and stuff myself, turkey doesn't do it for me.
I don't want mashed potatoes with like 7 sticks of butter. Like I'd rather eat a cupcake or something. It's probably healthier.
I totally agree. So
I love cold cuts. I love turkey on a sandwich. Like, love it, but I don't love like hot, warm turkey and stuffing. Stuffing's nice, but again, it's just like talk about opposite of keto, man. You are just packing in the carbohydrates and then you're just tired and it's already hard enough to spend time with the family as it is, but now you're tired and have to hold a conversation and you're just like, I just want to go home.
Wow. So it's not as controversial. I have a feeling there are more people out there. See, this is the problem. The tradition sticks and people fight for the tradition, but I think everyone actually hates it.
I talk to more people where I have this in common than you'd be surprised. Yeah, my wife's the same way. All right. So
no. So now it's back to my 4. That was your
no. I had it back up in case we overlapped. So
okay. All right.
So my number 5 is going to be an entire holiday, Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Thank you. Am I right? Or am I right?
We might have a lot of similarities here.
You got it on there too. Where do I begin? I mean, talk about a manufactured holiday. look, if I need one day a year to show my wife that I care about her, I've got bigger problems. But I also don't need to spend $100 on the same crap every year that's mostly going to die or get her fat. So flowers and candy. So
yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So unless the flowers have a lot of turkey stuffing in them.
All right, so I'll go my number 4. And this is a little bit specific to this, but New Year's Eve in Times Square. I can't picture a word. I've never gone, so it's not something I have to deal with. But I can't imagine a worse thing to do than go to somewhere that's traditionally very cold on December 31st, pack in at about 10 a.m. with almost no bathrooms, is my understanding. You can't drink, you can't eat. Like, it sounds horrible. It sounds like the worst possible thing. It's actually sort of like going to a Chinese concentration camp for the day.
Yeah. Do guys go there thinking like, yeah, dude, we might meet some chicks. Like, where are you going to go, man? Where are you going to go? Like the curb?
Yeah. So it's like the worst idea of all time is find a really cold location, sit here for 18 hours, and for 10 seconds, the last 10 seconds, watch a ball drop. That seems pretty stupid to me. And a million people do it every single year.
If you're trying to get laid on that day, there certainly will be no other balls dropping. They will be tucked away.
All right.
My number 4, this might be a bit bah humbug, but buying gifts for non-kids for Christmas.
I'm with you. We don't do it. We do. We actually I have a great tradition that my family does that I'll do next time in replace of that, because I think that's stupid. Yeah.
So buying a white elephant or one of those, kind of.
Yeah. I'll tell you what it is next time.
Like a $20 cap, but look, I have enough stuff to do in terms of finding gifts for my own kids, and I have a lot of them, and so do you. Part of it is the money, right? Because it's like, well, where do you stop? It's like inviting wedding guests, right? Like, well, I can't get this person a gift, but not this person. All of a sudden, you're buying like your third cousins and their kids gifts, and you're broke. The other part of it is the creativity and effort involved in getting something that is applicable to them. Like, that takes time, thought, and effort. I have to start thinking about a Christmas gift for my wife months in advance. Like, it's not easy to give a good gift, man. So just let it be about the family. Let it be about the people. And like at 18, you can vote and you no longer get Christmas presents.
Sandra and I have never exchanged Christmas gifts. Never.
Because you're a terrible husband. But
that's exactly why.
You can buy it if you want it in most cases.
My number 3 is the school Christmas holiday sing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, those suck to go sit through, especially when you have 5 kids and you have to, like, the first and second graders, and then 3 hours later you got to come back for the fourth and fifth graders, and they don't sing Christmas songs anymore. So the fact that they can't even sing songs that the whole freaking holiday revolves around, it sucks. It really, really sucks. To hear Dominic the Donkey one more time, or Christmas in Santa Monica, or no, Hanukkah in Santa Monica, which is the song, like, I'm over it. I'm done. I don't want it.
All right. My next one, I think this is my number 3, right?
Yes.
This is sort of a subset of my last one, and that is the gift card as a present. Like, show up. Nothing says I don't care to do any investment in figuring out what's a good gift for you than like going to Walmart and picking up a gift card, and then even worse, exchanging it with somebody. So now, not only have you only exchanged basically cash, but you've limited yourself to that store for each of you. So why not just hand each other cash and go, hey, nice trade, let's go have a beer, or better yet, don't give the gift at all, right? God, I hate the gift card.
I love the Amazon gift card. It's basically, it is just cash, but I'm going to give it to you in a gift card, which shows you I had to spend 30 minutes of my time going to Walgreens to pick this up.
And you want to react like, oh yeah, thanks. It's just like, why are we doing this? Why are we just handing each other little bits of money? Like, I don't understand this,
Uh-huh. That's pretty good. All right. So my number 2, Black Friday. Black Friday is ridiculous.
It's kind of out of control. Isn't it extend to Wednesday before Friday now? I mean, isn't it something like that?
Well, this year they've kind of canceled it, so they've spread it out so that there won't be these huge lines and so on. But I just find it to be the dumbest thing of all time. Like, one TV in the store is marked down to like $100. but because of it, there's going to be 300 people who bring tents to Best Buy. I just think is outrageous.
I don't understand it. It's like you guys realize instead of staying in line for 8 hours, you could just work a job and make money and just pay the difference, right? Like,
yep. Well,
okay. My number 2 is going to be, and this is just a dumb tradition, and I learned this from my time in Seattle. It's spending time with family. Gosh, is that overrated? I remember being in Seattle, Thanksgiving would come, and we're like, we don't want to cook a turkey. We've got no family. Like, let's just walk to the Chinese place and get some Chinese food. I'm like, this is great. There's not a lot of cleanup. I come back to Missouri, and between holidays, birthdays, and there's 11 grandkids, I'm not kidding. Like, every week and a half, we have to have pizza and cookie cake. Like, it's like a regular standing occasion. And whoever hosts it has to clean up a bunch of crap. And all of our kids destroy the other person's house. Like, it's just overrated, like we came back to be a family, but big mistake.
All right. My number 1 has already been talked about. I'm going to go a little bit more in detail, but scrambling to make sure Valentine's Day is special, because I'm with you, Valentine's Day in general, but gosh, trying to get it right when you forget about it and you have like 3 days to do it. And you're
everything's booked and you're like, hey honey, how do you feel about dinner at 9:45 at night? Your favorite place? I planned this in advance. I just figured you'd like that time.
What do you think about celebrating this year on the 16th? I just think it'd be more exciting to do it on a Monday.
We have started doing Valentine's Day not on Valentine's Day. It's like, why deal with the headache and the extra pricing and stuff like that? It's like, just go the day before or the day after. That has made more sense.
Yep. Valentine's Day, it blows.
Okay. So my number 1, and I do this tradition every single year, and I'm filled with regret, is the Elf on the Shelf.
Oh, I have said forever it's the dumbest thing of all time. And every night when Sandra goes to move the elf, I take the elf and I do things with it that I don't want on videotape.
The kids love it. They absolutely love it. They wait with, bated breath to wake up and figure out where the elf is and what the elf is doing. And man, it's like having a third shift, a job. You got to stay awake until your kids fall asleep, then go down and do something creative. And most of my kids are idiots. And if you touch the elf, he loses his magic. I don't know if you knew that, right?
But if you sprinkle cinnamon on it, you can heal it.
I didn't know that. That's good to know, because not only do I have triplets that are young, but I have a kid with Down syndrome. And full disclosure, that means she's retarded and she touches anything she can reach. So she will literally eat the elf, stick it up her butt, whatever, throw it in the trash, and it would lose its magic every day. So you know how quickly you run out of high places to put an elf? I'm literally putting a strand of tape on the ceiling and taping it to the elf. And they're like, well, what's the elf doing? I'm like, I don't know. He's probably hanging himself at this point.
Because he's trying to stay away from Casey.
I can't die. I'm immortal. No. He's like a less cool Deadpool. He just can't kill himself. Wants to die, but the healing factor is too great. There's too much cinnamon in the world.
All right. Well, on that, no more elves on the shelf, please. Please stop manufacturing those. All right. So we are done for October 29th, but please come visit with us next Monday, the day before Super Bowl election Tuesday. Come visit us. We will have tons of great stuff getting prepared for the election. And then follow us on Twitter at Not So Silent Pod, because during the election, we are going to be posting tons and tons of reaction, thoughts, thought bubbles, etc. So follow us at Not So Silent Pod on Twitter. Subscribe to us, and please go send this out to all your friends on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. All right. Goodbye. There we go. Elf on the Shelf, man. What a stupid idea.
I love when the lead comes in from Ankur Mehta. That's going to be a good one. He's not going to negotiate price at all.
I know it sounds so racist, but it's just true. I mean, everyone I've ever heard of, that's their feelings.
Bit of a cultural thing. So. Hey,
it's official. We've crossed 100 views on an episode.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, AB started working his magic. He just decided he's been doing a lot of background crap, like splicing and cutting things. But finally, I told him, I'm like, dude, my goal, we got to get 1 over 100, and then we need to start getting a consistent 150 plus. And so like all of our episodes on YouTube skyrocketed. They like tripled overnight almost, with a couple of them getting over 100. I wonder what they're at now, but so, well, you got one lead.
Yes, just one. But I have another. Thursday's a big meeting day. I got so many freaking meetings, dude. Like today.
I'm telling you, recruiting firm, staffing company.
I'll figure that out and get back to me. I don't want to do any research.
Well, I'm going to talk to my buddy back in Chicago who ran a big one, get his thoughts on it. And I was debating like going to Shane and being like, hey, I'll work for you. You pay me under the table, just small change for 2 months. Let me learn the industry, and then I'm going to go start my own. But I'll stay out of IT and gaming. I'll stay away from your stuff.
Well, here, let me let you go. I'm going to try to grab a quick bite before my 2 o'clock. Starving like Marvin.
All right. See you, dude.
Peace.